Game 7 of the World Series. It's a chance to make history, whether you're a star like Madison Bumgarner or a role player like Sandy Amoros. The Dodgers and Astros will play Wednesday night on the biggest stage baseball has to offer, and in a one-game, winner-take-all scenario, just about anything is possible. This series has featured both home run binges and pitching duels, blown leads and surprising saves. I don't anybody here is shocked that it's going to Game 7, Houston ace Justin Verlander said after Tuesday night's 3-1 loss at Dodger Stadium. Here's a look back at Game 7 of the World Series. Through the years, the classics, these games need no introduction. One name is often enough. Bill Mazeroski, Jack Morris, Luis Gonzalez. In 1960, Mazeroski led off the bottom of the ninth inning in Game 7 with a homer that gave Pittsburgh a 109 win over the New York Yankees. That slugfest was a wild one, with 10 runs scored in the final 2 innings. The 1991 finale between Minnesota and Atlanta at the Metrodome was tense for different reasons. Morris pitched all 10 innings for the Twins, who finally won 10 on Gene Larkin's bases-loaded single. Gonzalez' RBI single in 2001 capped a 2-run, 9th-inning rally by Arizona against Mariano Rivera and the Yankees. The Diamondbacks won 32, denying New York a 4th straight championship. Nearly a century ago, in 1924, Washington rallied from a 2-run deficit in the 8th and eventually beat the New York Giants 43-12, with Walter Johnson pitching the final 4 innings in relief. Amoros made his mark as a defensive sub in 1955, running down Yogi Berra's drive in left field to halt a 6th-inning rally by the Yankees. Brooklyn held on for a 20 victory and finally won its first crown. Cleveland hasn't won a World Series since 1948 but came agonizingly close in 1997 and 2016, losing Game 7 in extra innings both years. Edgar Renteria's 11th inning hit won the '97 series for Florida, and the Chicago Cubs outlasted the Indians last year, winning 87-10 to take their first title since 1908. The rout sometimes, Game 7 turns into a blowout. Detroit fans threw things at Joe Medwick of the Cardinals in 1934, as St. Louis was on its way to an 110 win over the Tigers. In 1985, the Cardinals were on the other end of an 110 drubbing, and this time they were the ones venting their frustration against the Royals. A missed call had gone Kansas City's way near the end of Game 6, and St. Louis fell apart in Game 7. Manager Whitey Herzog and pitcher Joaquin Andujar were ejected. Overshadowed sometimes, the finale feels anticlimactic compared to what happened in Game 6. The 1975 World Series is remembered for Carlton Fisk's game-winning homer for Boston that forced Game 7, even though that last game was pretty special in its own right. Cincinnati beat the Red Sox 43 in Game 7, with Joe Morgan driving in the winning run in the top of the ninth. After winning Game 6 on Bill Buckner's error in 1986, the New York Mets made the most of their reprieve, rallying from a 30 deficit to beat Boston 85 in Game 7. In 2011, the Cardinals were down to the last strike in the 9th and 10th innings of Game 6. But they won that one, and Game 7, a 62-St. Louis victory, wasn't nearly as memorable. The standouts: only one player has homered twice in Game 7 of the World Series. That was Berra in 1956, when the Yankees beat Brooklyn 90. 4 players have had 4 hits: Max Carey 1925, Ripper Collins 1934, Willie Stargell 1979 and George Brett 1985. Their teams all won. The most strikeouts for a pitcher in Game 7 is 10, by Hal Newhouser 1945, Sandy Koufax 1965, Bob Gibson 1967 and Roger Clemens 2001. Koufax gem, a 20 shutout of Minnesota, was the last time the Dodgers played in Game 7. Only 2 pitchers have thrown shutouts in Game 7 since then, Brett Saberhagen in '85 and Morris in '91. Falling short a World Series that ends on a hit will be remembered for a while, but sometimes the final out is what goes down in history. In 1926, Babe Ruth tried to steal second base for the Yankees in the 9th inning of Game 7. He was caught for the final out in the Cardinals' 32 win. In 1962, the Yankees were the team trying to hold on against San Francisco. The Giants had runners on second and third with 2 outs in the 9th when Willie McCovey lined out to second base to end it. New York won 10. The Giants were on the other side of a finish like that in 2014. With San Francisco up 32, Kansas City's Alex Gordon lined a single and went all the way around to third on an error by outfielder Gregor Blanco. But Gordon was stranded when Salvador Perez fouled out to third against Bumgarner, who completed a remarkable 5-inning save. Mark D. Smith, USA Today Sports. Mark D. Smith